Hello everyone, it's been a while, but we are going to be back with an account overview for my account, how I finished champion. Once again, it's been a very long time. I apologize, I've been so busy with college. I wanted to make sure I prioritize that and get my work done. But as of today, when this video uploads, as well as on Twitch, you should see me back. So if you want to catch me on stream, you can see me Thursday, Fridays, and I think I will be streaming a bit more days, so be sure to go check me out there. And as for E7 videos, we will be back, and we also will be trying Wealth and Rapes content. But as for the rest of this account overview video, I'll want to start off once again by thanking those who helped me throughout the season. This season, I want to thank Valky, Sue, and Vic. I asked them a lot of questions. They helped me a ton when I was pushing. Unfortunately, I did not finish Emperors. I just didn't have the time in me to just make that final push. I was also tilting a lot because there was constant meta shifts in the end of season, so it was really tough to push. Now, also another reason this account overview was a little bit delayed is because I can collect my thoughts a bit more. So instead of being pissed off at the game from constantly playing so much RTA, I'm actually a little bit more calmed down, so I can have more calm, collected thoughts to provide you on very thought through reviews of certain characters and how they performed in the season. So without further ado, let's continue on with the account overview. So first we have Adin, and as you can see, this Adin is pretty bad in my opinion. But he has a lot of defense, not as much health, so we're using Lethe's artifact. I really haven't found much use out of him in this season, other than using him as an anti-cleave character. So for this reason, I tried to put him on destruction gear. It's not very good destruction gear. He even has a 78 piece. I just tried to toss on something, but I need to farm for gear for him. I just tossed on Remnant stuff I had on my account because I just needed something that had more damage, and this is the only thing I could fathom that had more damage than what I had before. So I am missing a bit of health. I would be way better on the health, but it worked. It didn't work a ton. Him as a unit itself didn't work a ton because Cleave was just so strong, but he was definitely a good pick. I wouldn't say he was bad. There's not many other options to pick in terms of anti-Cleave options right now, so I mean there is a ton, but the thing is that most of them are banned or has some form of counterplay, so that is one of those units that you kind of need to take into anti-cleave. Here's my Hwayoung, no maxed out Ari, I apologize. This is the best stats I can get on her in order to have a good amount of attack and some bulk, I guess. Hwayoung's kind of hard to build, she requires a lot of gear, but she's definitely easier to build than before because of not needing to nerf your own HP to do damage, right? In some of the lower ranked games, I was able to use her a ton. As I began to play towards higher ranks, it became a problem to use her because if she gets outsped, if you don't have immunity set, like as you can see, I don't have immunity set, she will get debuffed on turn 1 and she loses her first turn. And if you do not have this speed, which I don't, as you can see, I'm 214. Ideally, you want to be like 230. If you don't have the speed, you're not going to cycle out of that debuff fast enough for you to get your S3 back up. So you're just going to be constantly debuffed, and you're not going to be able to actually get a full kickoff on Hwayoung. So that's very important, which is the reason why I didn't find as much use as her as I started to climb higher, because people were just faster than me. And if they're faster than me, they can debuff me and control me a lot easier and so on. So Hwayoung was not her pick rate definitely just fell off throughout the season for me. Shelter was not in the season, but if you want to look at the gear, here's the gear. Nahkwol was honestly I mean, what is there to say about Nahkwol? She does a lot, right? And the good thing about Nahkwol is if you try to play her, she doesn't need to be blazing fast. So this gear actually works pretty good. If I would change anything, I would probably work towards honestly more speed and more effectiveness. Now this necklace here doesn't have high speed, it has high effectiveness, but I would for sure try to swap out this piece. But it's not a good reforge, which is the reason why it's not reforged. And I'm only using this piece because it has 14 speed on it. But otherwise, the rest of the gear pieces are pretty okay, I would say. Fastest gear I could put on her. Politis. Alright, Politis is honestly came right back up in the meta. She has been shifted out for a long time, and the end of last season. I mean, well, now it's for like last season entirely, she's come back up because of Janua and Emma Bali. So, and with the addition with the buff of Abyssal Crown, she has a lot more value now. She's an honestly really great unit, good counter to Emma Bali, Janua, any non-attack skillers in general. She's definitely come back. I don't know why she got shifted downwards, but she's definitely back. So she's definitely a great pick to also cut CR and so on. And she has value under S3 because it's unbuffable and it has blind. So, you know, if you run into an ML Shoe combo with an opener, you can deal with her too. Really nice. And she has stun on S1. She just has a lot of value right now. So if you don't have a poly build, I highly recommend building her. And if you don't want to run Abyssal, you can run Book. And we all know how OP Book is. So Lethe is a bad unit now. That's all I can say. I can barely get any use out of her in RTA, so her gear continues to get dwindled down as I put it towards other people. But she is really hard to pick. Now, because of DDR's shoe, she's just really just a side option because she can just get injured extremely easily. And then the thing with Lethe is the moment she starts getting injured, the damage fall off is terrible. You want to kill on her extra attack, and if you don't kill, she loses a ton of value. And if an injury just you start getting injured a tiny bit, it starts to fall off really easily. And at the rate that DDR and ML Shoe can injure, she's pretty much DOA, dead on arrival, because she's just gonna get injured way too much by her second turn. Because DDR gives everyone Venom buff, which it means everyone can do injury damage, so she'll just literally just get half her health chunked in like 2 turns. And ML Rat is just stupid fast and will duke out enough. She doesn't even need to hit Lethe, but her first hit is gonna do so much of her HP bar that Lethe's not gonna be able to do enough for the rest of the match. So yeah, Lethe is just a Guild Wars unit now, and it's even harder, I mean, to use her because of the comps in there, but hey. Karina is another MVP of the season. She's honestly really damn fantastic into anti-cleave. She is pretty much an anti-cleave unit. She's also really good into Janua sometimes. I say sometimes because if you get critted on her, she just ends up being bad. I mean, what can you do, right? The best part about Karina is that she actually doesn't need too much insane gear. As you can see, I'm running a 79 piece that I didn't know was this bad, but it has 81 flat defense. I don't even know if that's, I don't think that's even good, but she doesn't need insane gear. Just make sure you are on a full gear set. If I were to change anything about her, I would put her on counter set, but otherwise she's a really great unit. Great anti-cleave unit, great into Janua's. She's even great into like certain units like Candy, or Zeos, people who have like a cockroach passive where they don't get one shot. Her pop damage is great. So highly recommend this unit, but of course she is never coming back, so really unfortunate to those who don't have her, but she is, yeah, she's too good. She's really good. My Elvira kinda has sort of loner gear. I never used her a ton in the season, because I mean it's been very aggressive, so fighting spirit units usually wasn't the problem. But also when Janua came out, it was mostly just Janua, Poly, all that garbage, right? So fighting spirit units was not really a huge issue for like fighting spirit units. It wasn't a huge issue for me, so I never really needed to draft this unit. But with Elvira, you want to play, make sure you have a aggro draft, in my opinion. If you're not playing aggro with her, she's going to feel weird. You need to have tempo when you're playing Elvira. But otherwise, she is, I mean, she does what she's meant to do. She counters fighting spirits, and she sits there and does nothing, provides some provokes, some D-breaks here and there. Nothing much to say about her. Byblis Chan, I love Byblis. I loved using her. If I can pull up an image of my E7 GG, I would show it. I have a really high win rate with her. Now, unfortunately, she is really only a Candy and Mechan counter. But when she plays into those two units, she excels phenomenally. You getting spam D breaks on you is really detrimental. So the moment Byblis starts popping off, and you're gonna be in trouble, right? She heals, she blinds, she D breaks, right? If you land a blind, it lowers that team's enemy team's damage output, and then you clap back with her S2 D break, heal your team. If you have a Bellona, a Rylet, somebody, any DPS that's following up after her, that unit that she wants to kill is 100% deado. Or they're gonna get so low on HP they can't survive. And if you have her own artifact, unlike me, you can actually use her into Roana because she has a chance of landing unhealable. So she's honestly a really great unit into Candy and McKen. Those two specifically though. Aria is an MVP unit this season as well. When Janua came out, this is the unit you wanted to have built. Now don't worry about me not having maxed out already. I just bought 2 copies of Bastion of Hope just to shove into here, so now I need to upgrade it. She is really great, but she's extremely hard to build. She is definitely a 4 or 5 pick into very much Janua, or if the opponent does not have a ton of AoE / a ton of strippers. If you are running an ER build, you can play into a buff stripper, but you have to be very careful of which ones you're playing into, right? Because remember, it's super easy to build effectiveness and it's super hard to build ER. It's not a good balance right now. But if you were to land a debuff, so say on Arowell, she's not a problem because she loses her effectiveness buff and so on and so forth. But this unit has been pretty much my primary pick if I can get her into a game to fight Janua, because once she pops off and you have your good luck, I mean good luck as in this Janua unit doesn't crit you for free, Janua will be forced to go into Aria, take free hits, and then remember, this S2 has a strip in it. Do not mind the molas, I apologize. And it will strip his immortality, and then boom, dead. And if you're wondering why I don't have that molded up, I'm freaking broken molas. I apologize. Please, like, this game does not give enough molds, okay? Here's my Elena. I don't think it's anything insane, but I really do think she's really great into cleave. I am running Doctor's Bag because in some situations where BDOM is banned, or yeah, when BDOM is banned, if I run into a Monk and they let Elena through, and they gamble on trying to like, you can run Doctor's Bag so the S2 actually cleanses off the binds. It also helps, and I found this more useful into cleave now, where Doctor's Bag just felt better, because if I get too many debuffs on me, Doctor's Bag helps get some of those debuffs off. So, and it gives a little bit more healing, that's all. It's a little bit wonky in the turn order, but I just found it way more useful to just have an additional debuff dispel on Elena's S2. Unfortunately, I have one Doctor's Bag, so you're going to see my BDOM look riped. Never used Alencia that much this season. She kind of sucks. I mean, if you want to look at the gear, here it is. It's pretty much hand-me-down gear, only used for injury set. It's like, this is supposed to be a pen set, but I give it to someone else. Because it's like, there's no point even using it on her. Alright, here is the Laia, another MVP this season. 245 speed because that's all I can do, and yeah, this is the best gear pieces I can give. This is 77, but it gives a whopping 722 base HP. Holy! If I can swap out some of the pieces, it would have to be these two because it has a lot of ER, but it also has a decent amount of speed, so I don't know what to do with them. This one also has a really good amount of HP. But yeah, that's my Laia. Nothing much to say about her. She's really broken. She's definitely first pick. She has so many things in one: a dual attacker, cleanser, a nuker. She does everything. I mean, if you haven't seen Laia everywhere this season, I don't know where you've been, but this is quite literally one of the best units in the game right now. Okay, here's my Rimuru. I actually changed this recently, so it's not the same build I was running before. I was going to do an attack set, like a attack one, but As you can see, that didn't happen. So Rimuru, really good into Gala. Yeah, he's mainly a Gala counter right now. That's pretty much what we're gonna use him to. If you want to run remember, you really do want immunity set, so make sure you have it when you use him. And I think that's pretty much all I can say. I didn't really use him a ton because I mean I need to fix my gear for him. But remember, it can really run any set you really want him to. Just really think about what purpose you want to use Rimuru for, and I'm pretty sure he can at least succeed in that role to some extent. So for me, I was supposed to be a Gala counter, and I ended up not really caring too much because I ended up using red poly for that situation as well. But yeah, I can't really say he's a bad unit, but I'm not gonna say that he really was extremely useful to me this season. So if you found more use out of him than me, sure, but I wasn't able to. Albedo. This Albedo bear is kind of bad. She's a little slow, but I'm telling you, this unit is the truth. Okay, running her on Arias is just the way. Counter set makes it really viable to run at slower speeds because she's constantly getting CR pushed. I loved Albedo. Running her on this mid set felt so good. She's at 30k, she's soaking up damage for the team. She's on counter set, so if they hit her, she pushes up, get a little bit of pop damage into her team, and she has enough effectiveness, or a good amount of effectiveness, to debuff. Fortunately, I have a bit of wasted stats into ER, because as you may know, ER is pointless to invest in unless you have like 100 or 120, you know, enough to actually resist some like openers, but otherwise it's just not worth it. Senya has been a dead unit for me this season. She feels terrible to use. As you can see, I even have her on a 6 immunity set, but for the other stats of the gear, here it is. This is relatively good. This is the ones I had. These are the two that I just shoved on. I just shoved this on so I can get the lifesteal completion for AI, and this one I put on for AI. But these were not originally her pieces. I really just don't use her anymore. She's really hard to use. She relies on having her counter buff up. She requires a lot of stats. She needs so much stats, which is pretty much the problem. Senya is really hard for that aspect of needing so much stats, right? And not to mention, in this very, very high damage meta, Senya being a unit that can't crit and is like a unit of the past, her damage is nothing too amazing when you compare it to someone like a Navy Captain Landy. So, and on top of needing so much stats to function, it's taking away from her damage or so on. So it's like, yeah, it's a hard unit. There's my Christy. She was not on these boots. She was not this low. She was like, she was around her hair, around the hair, I think. Like here, so around this stat line. I put this on for Holo Trials, I think, so this is what it looks like. All these gear pieces here are okay except for the boots, but yeah, this is what I was using for a for some like a PvE run. Now Celine's buff didn't roll out until pre-season, so I won't really talk too much on her, but here is my Celine. I guess I'll just talk about her buffs while we're here. But I think Celine is absolutely busted now. You need to have a Celine build. She's so high damage. She is extremely punishing to the opponent, and if you have a little bit of more bulk than I do, she can survive till the end of the match and actually put fear to their opponent's heart because they cannot push buttons or else they will get thunderclapped. Landy has not been a very useful unit in PvP, and as of release of MO Poly, she is even more useless because she gets her fighting spirit cut in half. So I won't really talk too much on Landy because I haven't really used her. Destina I have also not used. It might be surprising as a turn 2 player, I haven't used Destina all that much. One, as you can see, my ER is not even that good on her, but that is not even the main problem with Destina. Destina as a unit is a standard healer. He is meant to be played in standard, right? And as of the last meta that we're probably still in, it is extremely aggressive. Destina cannot be played aggressively. It's just not a very good matchup. You can try, like, by putting on this E here, where that resets the skill cooldown for S2, so she can keep pushing up a unit. But Destina shines in standard gameplay and sometimes in the older themes and anti-cleave setting, but not in current ones. It's a little bit too high damage for Destina, unless you have really good bulk stats. Because of this, Destina is just not the best unit as of right now. But she's still good. It's just not her meta. That's all. Roana is an actual fantabulous unit. You see a candy, you slam her, she heals your team. I mean, not having Roana in 2024 is actually really terrible. So I hope you do have her. If you don't, I hope you pick her up. She is really good into any extra attacks, counter attacks, all that good stuff. She gets free heals. Put her on Stellar Harpa, and now she has a cleanse. You need to have Roana. She's so good in all forms of content. You're fighting anyone who has AoE counter attacks, you slam her down, you get some free heals. Now, as of right now, in the aggro meta, she has been a little bit less useful. Same reason as Destina. She shines more in a standard matchup rather in an aggro matchup. So that's the only reason Roana would be used less. Sharon, as you can see, she's de-geared. Partially de-geared. I couldn't use her at all this season. I couldn't use her at all. Here's my Conqueror Lilias. This is my fastest unit on my account. When I needed to play aggro, I used her. She is one of the strongest openers in the game, right next to Politis. She provides vigor, attack down, provokes, dual attacks. She does it all. She is pretty good. The only downfall with her, which is the balancing factor that some of the newer units don't have, is she doesn't have a cleanse, right? So when you're running Conk, you need to take a cleanser because you're going to get controlled with debuffs, which makes it harder to run the entire team comp, right? More likely than not, if you're taking Conqueror Lilias and you're not taking a cleanser, you're probably going to be in a little bit of a pickle. But otherwise, Conk is really strong. You can build her bulky with speed, and she counters a lot. She does a lot. Here is my Lionheart Cermia. I wasn't using her on this build during the season though. I think of this build on my Yufine and my Yufine build on Lermia, because that's what happened. Roughly around like the last 3-4 weeks of the season, I got hit with such a high damage Landy that I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. And I put on Yufine on Destruction Gear just to make her more high damage. So I wasn't using Lionheart as much, is because she's a really hard unit to use right now. With band protection, I think she can have a bit more use. But the biggest problem with Lionheart is A, she's a fighting spirit unit, so she gets countered by Poli and Elvira. 2, she is... if she gets aggroed on too early in the match, she'll just obviously die. And I think that's most... and also, Janua. Janua one-shots her. Janua one-shots everything in the game. It kind of makes a lot of these defense scaling units kind of a little bit less useful because you're just getting one-tapped. So, on paper, you would think she's good into Janua because Janua has an extra attack, but she just gets one-shot by him, which makes it really hard to use her. But otherwise, when Lionheart is in her best situation, she is the girl to pick. I have insane, really good gear on her. Lionheart is one of my favorite characters. I wish I can use her more. There's my Belian. I honestly didn't get to use her a lot. That's probably the reason why her gear is so bad. Because it's like, I don't have a reason to give her my best gear if she's always banned. You know what I mean? When she is available though, I would prefer to have a protection set Belian, but unfortunately I don't. But it is okay. It is okay. I also can't really talk about how good this unit is. You're using this unit into cleave, and she's always banned into cleave. So, like pre-banned to like not post-banned. She's pre-banned, so it's like I never got to use her. That's all I can say. So I made it to top 2,000 players with 80 gear on my Carmen. I will be frank, my 80 gear did roll pretty well just for being 80 gear, but I've been working so hard to try to fix this. I've been trying to farm a new set, and I just didn't get any good drops. So this is the Carmen we're working with. In terms of overall usability, Carmen was really great throughout the season. You're playing Carmen to tank down, and tank down did get a little bit bad like halfway. It was a little bit harder to play because of Janua, but the value in her being slow and then coming up the CR bar and then just slamming down a mortality buff on your whole entire team so you just don't take damage is really important. And then even though your team will probably cycle out of this immortality buff, Carmen being able to sit with the immortality buff means she will continue to mitigate damage on that as long as she has that immortality buff on her. So she's not going to lose health, but she's going to continue to mitigate damage, which makes her very strong. I think she was really a great tank this season. I really would love to have better gear for her, but this is all I have for right now. Here's my Navy Captain Landy. I tried to go for a bit more damage. I'm really trying to fix it right now. I know I can go higher damage, but this is probably my worst piece here. I didn't get anything to fix it. I decided to try to go for a bit more damage because damage is the way right now. You really want a high damage candy. Like go 0 speed, more damage. I do have speed somewhere. And I'd rather have more stats into damage, but this is all I got right now. She was really good. I don't know how much to say about Candy. She's a really good anchor unit to have. She does have a lot of counters on board right now, but the sheer fact she can literally just take back games out of just counter salvoing you is really insane. So having a Candy is really important right now, although once again there's so many counters just being released to her for some reason. It's like they really hate this unit so much that they have to keep releasing things that counter her. So yeah. There's my Arowell, a little bit under 30k, but if I put this on, it is 30k. So let's just imagine that's 30k, right? Arowell is great into Janua. She has a stun and mastery, really good mitigator. She does it all. She has CR pushes, buff strips, shields, self-healing, so she can keep herself alive a little bit longer. And she has escort, which is the strongest mitigation in damage sharing in the game. I will say I was torn, but she's literally the second to third best knight in the game, or top 3. I'll put it as top 3 depending on how you play. It would be Carmen, Arowell, and Albedo. Depending on how you play, each one will be a little bit more beneficial to you, but I think Albedo is probably the strongest one right now. Or at least right under Arowell, because Arowell does so many things because of a special key change unit. She is a knight. I don't know how much I want to say about her. I really used her mainly if I needed to fight Janua. Otherwise, I would be picking the other 2 units, which would be Albedo and Carmen. I never got to use LBK this season. Don't worry about the artifact. I kind of was messing around with Simple Uni, so it's not on her right now. But I never got to use her. She was really hard to use simply because of if you're not taking first turn, you probably don't want to take LBK. You're going there because the opponent's going to take first turn and just freaking one tap her, right? So that was the primary reason why using her just didn't feel as good. But if there's a situation where you are in the speed advantage, taking her to counter Adin's and Rylot's are really good. No, it's mainly Adin because Rylot is never picked until 4 or 5. But yeah. Unfortunately, also, Adin is just not in the best spot right now. She's good. Don't get me wrong. She's good. She's just not the best. So, because of that, picking her as a counter to Adin really doesn't matter. Because you can just use Briar Witch, which provides more team value. You can just use Candy and rob them with counters. Or you can just use anything else. The biggest problem with LPK is just you just need to take first turn. And that's pretty much it. Here is my Adin. This is probably the best weapon on my account with 31 crit chance. I need to change this, and that's it. just no max out artifact. I just got these charms, but I don't know how if I want to invest it into this because I don't know how much I like Adin. But this is the Adin. I don't think I got too much value out of Adin because she just doesn't dodge and she just dies, right? I don't really like invasion units at all. So you'll see I have good gear on my invasion units because sometimes they're just the better pick, but I don't like playing them because all it takes is 130% for them to just absolutely get evaporated into the water. So I can't really say too much about Adin. Adin is Adin. You use her into a dark unit and she nukes the dark unit, right? You invade the entire time, she provides amazing value to you. She doesn't invade, she just dies and you lose. Here's my Aola. Aola has 2 unreforged pieces because that's how much I used her last season. The biggest thing with Aola, which is the reason why I didn't use her, is simply because sometimes I think if I had her faster I'd use her more. But you really want she's mainly a counter into LRK, and I didn't run into LRK a ton. I really like using her as a counter into LRK, and that's pretty much it. I don't really use her otherwise because I'll just use Politis instead. I think Politis has a bit more value outside of her first turn than Aola does, which is the reason why. Aola has some form of protection in their skill nullifier and as too, which is why I would use her into LRK. But otherwise, I think I just have more. I just want to use Politis. And here's the Beedom that I told you that I took gear from. So she's 230 speed, 1500 HP, 200 ER, which can be better, but yeah. She is on Potion Vial, which I don't like running Potion Vial. It's plus 13 because that's how much I use her. I'd rather run Doctor's Bag on her, but I put it on Elena because I've been using Elena more than her. Beedom is a weird unit. She's great in some situations. Otherwise, I don't think she's even that the bad. She's definitely a really good call counter, but the thing is, some people don't care and still walk anyways. You can't use her into DDR because DDR also doesn't care and can just press S2 and still injure you anyways. So it's like the main people who take extra turns, Beedom isn't even 100% counter into them because they either A, don't care, I'll do it anyways, or B, they'll just play around it pretty easily. Like for instance, Brigitte, who was just released, even has her extra turn on her S2, which is not even a debuff skill. So even if she cleanses that off and gives everyone a skill nullifier, she could just strip it right back off. So I don't know about Beedom, she's good. Here's my APOC. I haven't used her once. She is really hard to use. She's an HP scaling unit, and it will be very common for any HP scalings on my account. They're just really hard to use. That's all. Because the injury is everywhere. That's all. Here's my Lone Crescent Bologna. I love Lone Crescent so much. She is a really good counter into Light Navy Captain Landy. I like my bulk. If anything, I would probably go high, drop my speed to like 150, and I will go higher on damage. But this is the gear I have for right now. I probably just need to replace the left side with some epic pieces that roll higher. And that'll be it. I really like Bologna. Really good Navy Captain Landy counter or any anti-crit units in the game. Here's my hand guy. He kind of lost some of his gear to Laia, but otherwise, he is just a secondary cleanser to Laia. Any situation you would want to pick Laia into in terms of being a cleanser, you just take Laia if she's available. Otherwise, you take hand guy as a cleanser. He is the second best cleanser in the game now because Laia is the better one. But I don't even know if I can even call him second anymore. He's just he's good. He's probably better on a DPS build. I haven't tried it myself, but otherwise he is a decent unit. I can't say I used him a ton like the season beforehand though. Here's my Yufine. She was on a destruction set for the end of the season. I think Yufine's a pretty good unit. She's beginning to fall a little bit down because of Janua. Janua just one-shots her, and I think she's sometimes a little bit less reliable. She's using an RNG unit. RNG units are RNG units. They're less reliable in general. That's pretty much the reason why I didn't enjoy using her a ton towards the end of the season. She just felt so unreliable. But what can a turn 2 player like me do anyway? So here's my Rylets. Same thing with Adin. Oh, pretty decent gear. I just don't like using him. So I never really found too many situations to use him in. Especially because it's external evasion buff, so he can get stripped by openers. So that's all I'll say about Rylet. Here's my Briar, which is Syria. I think I can do way better on her gear. I just have way too much HP and defense. I can definitely go lower. But the gear on her is so good that I can't really swap off stats. So in order for me to get better gear, I need to fully re-gear her, which is really annoying. So I just leave it on for now. Even so, last season I have even gone to use her a ton because she is, I don't know, I think it's my speed, maybe it's my effectiveness, maybe it's my damage, I don't know. I just never found the best uses out of her because the primary reason I would use her is A, to counter revivers, and revivers weren't even the pinnacle of the meta last time because it was so aggro. It was mostly just kill you before I can get killed. And B, invasion units were just not in the best spot either, so it was like, well, I could pick Briar Wedge, but it has to be like a really good spot. Now, she does also have unbuffable, so yeah, that is a benefit, but I think I would, if anything, I'll just make her faster. I think making her faster would just be more beneficial to me. Probably like 230 speed if anything, but I just don't want it to be faster than my my attack buffers and so I just have to be very careful about that. But I just didn't find as much use as I think I should have. I think that's a me problem. Maybe I just should have found more situations to draft her in. Here is my Spectre. She is, I haven't gone to use her at all this season either. She's really hard to pick because there's so much AoE in the meta. So yeah, she can straight up die to MLShu from pop damage. She can die to Jinua from pop damage. So many things. The one use that she does have is obviously positive counterplay into Jinua having a Sunner Astery, but that's literally all I can say. Here's my Zeal. I haven't used him at all because he is 240 speed and he is pretty much unusable at 240 speed at high-end RTA because everyone's just going to outspeed you. So I haven't used him at all this season, so I can't really talk about him. Karin is a very... I haven't picked him either. Although he's a pretty good unit in some anti-cleave teams, with a lot of them having ignore ER, sometimes it's just not worth it. Other times you're relying on Karin to counterattack, and sometimes he just sits there and sleeps and you're just dead. Now, honestly, that is pretty much the same with Yufine Candy, but I don't know, it just feels worse with Karin. Because he needs to damage the other team enough for him to hit his S3 so he can hide in immortality again. So if you do not even counter once on the first turn, you're pretty much DOA. And that is pretty much it. That is all the PvP units I used for that season. So if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like. I don't know why I'm getting these pop-ups, but yeah, that is pretty much it for my account overview. Once again, I am back. You can check me out on Twitch later today. I will be streaming Wandering Waves. So see you there. Bye guys.